Let's talk about All-Star Weekend. We could see at the bottom you played in 5 of them, including. Let's talk about your first one, 1997. You're in the All-Star game, and I see who's there in it. I mean, this is the Jordan Pippen. This is the real deal. Who was there from back in the day? What was it like for you to stroll into that All-Star game in 1997, Chris?
It was crazy because it was in Cleveland, I believe. And what was so special was that was the 50 greatest. So I actually got to shake, at the time, Bill Russell. And
Mm.
I didn't get to shake Wilt Chamberlain's hand, but I got to stand next to him and Cousy and some other greats, of course, Jordan and Magic and those guys. So to me, being there at the celebration of the 50th was great. I think Glenn Robinson, who was a childhood hero of mine, I'm sorry, Glenn,
Yeah.
not Glenn Robinson,
Glenn
Glenn
Rice.
Rice, who was a childhood hero of mine. He broke, I think, Wilt Chamberlain's record for most points in a quarter. And I remember Jordan and guys pumping him up saying, shoot, shoot, shoot. And, I remember all the pageantry, all the parties, before and after. So for me, it was so special because it's a time, when you feel like, okay, I've made it, but here's a different level to making it and getting to share with your family, friends, and the city of D.C. at the time was special.
Yeah, on the Eastern All-Star team, Jordan, Pippen, Ewing, Dumars, Tim Hardaway Sr., who's coming in here tomorrow, actually, Christian
Okay.
Laettner, Alonzo Mourning, Dikembe Mutombo, Glenn Rice. I mean, my goodness, great Penny Hardaway, I think I mentioned. Then
Yeah.
on the Western side of things, the glove, John Stockton, Hakeem Olajuwon, Garnett, my gosh, Malone, Shaq. Wow. And then you're
Yeah,
saying
they-
on top of it, the top 50 were there too? On top
Yeah, it
of
was
it?
this big celebration. So we got to watch them get their jackets and hang out and everything like that. So yeah, I think the arena was somewhat new at that time. And so even going to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and all the things that, you get to do while you're in the Cleveland area, it was special, especially, for me, you grow up and you dream. And after every All-Star game, you go outside and you try to do the dunks that guys were doing, even in Michigan when it was snowing. And for a whole week without social media, we're talking about those moves, what guys did and how special it was. And, the kind of transition to this year's and to kind of the current conversation, Rich, I hope that that's what players understand. I think part of getting there is remembering who you were before you got there. And what I mean is honoring that person. So all these guys, they're the best players in the league. They worked hard. I mean, they earned it. They worked hard to get there. And if they remember, who those guys were back when, they didn't have a beard, mustache, when no one knew their name, when it wasn't cool to be, then you'll kind of honor the game the most. And I remember, guys letting you shoot and kind of letting you do your thing, but at the end, you wanted to win. So hopefully that part comes back to the game.
Chris Webber, Hall of Famer here on the Rich Eisen Show. And 2 guys from that All-Star experience I want to ask you about any interactions. And you just mentioned one. You mentioned Bill Russell. Was it just a quick handshake? Just you? Were you able to pick his brain? Did he say anything to you like, "Hey, I love you," or your shorts were too long in college? I mean, what was it? What was it like, Chris? Anything?
What's funny is that time was a quick shake my hand, beat it, kid. I'm here,
Sure.
with my buddies. But later we did develop a relationship, and shout out to your partners at TNT that allowed me to do an interview with him. And so later on, I got to interview him, and I brought my father to the interview. And what, he told me I'll never forget. I think that's one of the few times my father shed tears. And part of that was because of some things he told my father about their upbringing, but also about what he really kind of respected the guys at Michigan and things I never really thought that he would say or acknowledge, or you figure, hey, he's so old school that, I just remember his laugh. He cackled. I mean, he was the loudest laugher in the building, and he loved telling stories. And one of his favorite stories is, recently at the Hall of Fame, before he passed away, I was with Ben Wallace, I think Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and he was talking about showing us pictures on his phone of him high jumping and how he was one of the champions high jumpers, but he just jumped over the high jump bar regular, if you could believe that, not backwards or anything like that, but just straight over. So I did become pretty close with him, and it started there in Cleveland.
I love that. And look at that man on the screen right there.
Man,
Chris
come on,
Brockman,
man.
say what you said to me in my ear. Chris Brockman.
Yeah, it's so weird you brought him up, C-Web. Today would have been Mr. Russell's 92nd birthday.
Today.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
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 That's crazy. That's awesome. And when you look at like, let's just talk about like some trends, right? When you look at some of the stuff that he did, like when you think about the golfers from Joe Louis and many other athletes, but he's on Sports Illustrated on the cover, sitting there on a golf cart. And I asked him, why did he do that? And he was just telling me, just kind of some of his thoughts on life and how he loved playing golf. And if you were going to catch him in the summer, you better take the photo shoot on the golf course and not in any gym, because he's not coming there anytime soon. So I just love the way that, again, that he looked at life. And of course, the winner he is. And of course, the champions for human rights that he was. But when it comes down to it, he was just a good man with a loud laugh.
No doubt. Good man with a loud laugh. Perfectly put, Chris Webber. Hey, you made it all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Check us out every single day streaming live on Disney Plus and the ESPN app 12 to 3 Eastern.